Here's some code that shows how this works with the string.format method. Format is a method of the string class within the .NET framework that allows you to format strings. So this is the composite form of the formatting as opposed to string interpolation. And in this case, I'm passing in 1, 2, 3 parameters. The first is a string that indicates the format that I want with little placeholders to plug in the other parameters. And then this is the 0th item, so that's going to get plugged in there, and that's the first item that's going to get plugged in there. So I have altogether 3 different elements. And if I wanted to continue, I could hit a comma there, and notice that the form of this overloaded method that I'm using gets a format, and then it has this params keyword with an object array. That's why this technique works. And to show, here's an instance of where I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 parameters using the same method. Because that second parameter to the array is declared as a parameter to the method is declared as an array, I'm able to pass as many options here as I want. And I could keep going. I can go well beyond 7. All right, so that works for methods on .NET objects. And you can build your own methods that do the exact same thing. And here's an example of a method like that. I have a print all. In this case, all I'm taking is that parameter array. So all parameters are optional. And then it's going to loop through items, and it's going to write that out. And again, this is very simple code because if this is not a string object, then WriteLine will call toString of that object and display whatever makes sense within it. And here's an example of using it. So I'm passing in just a random set of stuff. So there's a string, there's an integer, there's a date time value, and then there's a writer object. Okay, so when I run this code, select C for method parameters, and then here you can see the result of this. It's plugging in item 1 and item 2, and that becomes the resulting string. This is plugging in item 1 through item 6. And then here's the results of calling this method with all of that relatively random stuff. So here's a string, 12. It called toString on the integer, and that's the resulting string. Here's the resulting string of the date time object, and then there is calling the toString method of the writer object. Okay, now there are a couple important things you need to consider when you use the params keyword in a method of your own like this. First is that the parameter that you declare using the params keyword has to be the final parameter in the method's parameter list. There can't be any other parameters after that one there defined. There can be parameters before, and those are called fixed parameters, in which case those parameters, 1 or more, are required, and then these are optional. And then you can only include a single parameter defined with the params keyword. And then finally, instead of passing individual objects like that, strings or values or reference values or whatever, I could also just pass an array, in which case it's just going to treat it like a regular array and loop through it. So if I have an array that contains everything that I want to print, just pass the array, much cleaner code, and it'll do the right thing there.